jeopardy throughout this one.
I really thought it was over.
I mean, he'd only tally 2 points on 0 of 5 shooting in the first half. That's his first time without a made field goal in the first half since 2010. Woo. But then at halftime, he went back on the floor before the rest of the Lakers were out there getting some shots up. You know, he knew he had to get himself out of the funk, and he slowly
just see the ball go through the rim a couple
Exactly. He would make an impact still in the third. You know, 3 guys surrounding him here.
Leaving him one-on-one.
And then off of that, Dorian Finney-Smith, wide open, corner pocket.
That's Jared Vanderbilt, plus 24 in his minutes. No scoring, but plus 24.
Next Lakers possession, 2 guys come for LeBron, and this time moving around again. And Gabe Vincent capitalizes.
Swing, swing.
LeBron with 3 points on 0 of 6 shooting, but did have 7 assists through 3 quarters.
He hit that with 0 field goals, and I was like, he has 1 quarter. I don't think he's going to get there.
Well, with the double-digit streak in jeopardy, LeBron, he turned it up in the 4th.
Finally.
He's getting there.
Up and under. And then the wing jumper up to 7 points.
And suddenly LeBron's about to be in takeover mode.
Yeah, after some free throws, 9 points, drives baseline here. Whew. Exhale, the double-digit streak lives on. Another game. Meanwhile, this was close, under 5 to play. Luka Doncic.
You've seen that before, huh?
Yeah, the catch and shoot. Oh, wait, who's he talking? I know he doesn't
some
have a
words.
crossword for Rick Carlisle.
Oh, no, of course not. Then less than a minute later.
History, right?
A little bit.
Luka, 34 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Now, under a minute left, Tyrese Halliburton blows by Luka here. 16 points. Season high, 18 assists for Halliburton.
To be fair, he blows by a lot of people.
Exactly, but I had to point that
Very
out.
quick.
15 seconds left. Benedict Mathurin misses the 3.
Not a good
Pacers
shot.
had a timeout, didn't call it.
One thing about my game, I can always do other things on the floor to help our team win, even when I'm not shooting the ball well.
We fought. They're a very hot team right now. They won 5 in a row. So especially playing here itself, you know, they got the crowd going in the last quarter. So it was a really tough game. Like I said, they're a hot team. But we managed to win through a lot.
So Lakers were clicking offensively last night after scuffling a bit during their 3-7 stretch entering the game. They scored 13 more points per 100 possessions and shot 6 percentage points better from the field. All right, Cassidy Hubbard in for Malika Andrews. I'm joined by Brian Windhorst, Ramona Shelburne, and the new author of The Wonder Boy out this week, Tim McMahon. We're so proud of you. We got a lot to get into, and we'll touch on your book in a bit, but a much-needed win for L.A. against one of the hottest teams in the NBA. Brian, what stood out to you watching that game last night?
Well, obviously, it was a tremendous finish. The Pacers have been very hot. They've won 7 out of 8 games, and a handful of those games they've been behind in the last 20 seconds and pulled stuff like this off. So basketball karma kind of returned the favor, but this was really a game where the Lakers got away with another subpar defensive effort. The story for this team since the trade has really been their defense. Luka has gotten a lot better, his legs underneath him. Coming off of that calf injury, he's got 4 straight 30-point games, and when you look at the highlights, you're going to remember those. But the Lakers have been losing games recently because they haven't been getting stops, and they were very much in danger of losing this game because they couldn't get stops. As well as Luka played and the clutch shots he hit down the stretch, he got torched 3 straight times on defense in the last about 70 or 80 seconds of this game. And had LeBron not done that tip-in, I would be focusing on the fact that over the last 11 games, they're 23rd in the league in defense. Obviously, before that, and especially before LeBron had that groin injury, they were winning all those games with their defense. So, Cass, they definitely are still playing my turn, your turn on offense with LeBron, Reeves, and Luka a little bit. You can see JJ working through some sets, trying to get them into things. But this team's chances of making an extended run are going to be about whether they can defend. And their defense just hasn't been great over this last stretch.
Yeah, Wendy's absolutely right. That LeBron tip-in saved us from really having a lot of noise about this Lakers defense that was so good for a while coming out of that trade and has really struggled lately. Now, in fairness to them, the schedule's been unbelievably hectic with the games having to be rescheduled. LeBron has been out. He's just coming back. But this is a team that overachieved by a lot on the defensive end. And give them credit for scheme, give them credit for playing hard.
For a long while.
Yeah.
For a long while. And there was some luck in there in terms of opponent three-point shooting, but this is a flawed roster from a defensive perspective. They don't have a true rim protector. They're closing games with Dorian Finney-Smith at the 5. And look, Luka Doncic, if you protect him in the right kind of scheme, he can be an effective part of the team defense. They don't have the pieces around him, and we know Luka is going to struggle on the perimeter, and he's going to have to pick and choose when to use his energy, how to use his energy when he has the ball that much. And if he's picking and choosing, he's usually going to choose.
And he doesn't have Lively and Gafford behind him like he did before.
I mean, I really think that their defensive shortcomings the last 10 games that you pointed out, Brian, I think they're exhausted. I think they had an incredibly difficult March with all the extra games. I heard Brian talking about the back-to-back. I mean, they had so many games in March. And at the end of it, they have to play these young, fast teams like the Bulls and then the Orlando Magic and now the Pacers. These teams are young, get up and down the court. That's tough. But their half-court defense in this game was very good. A lot of times they look like they're playing zone sometimes. And guess who's the quarterback? LeBron James out there at 40 years old is the defensive quarterback. He couldn't buy a shot for 3/4 of this game, but he was doing a lot of things defensively and rebounding-wise that helped them get to the finish line.
And you talk about Luka Doncic, the amount he had to carry offensively with LeBron at 40, struggling and working back in that growing strain. He looked tired. But speaking of Luka, Rick Carlisle is, of course, Luka's former head coach in Dallas. We saw him chirping, as you pointed out.
Was there a chapter in your book on that?
You detailed, their relationship in your book. How would you describe that dynamic as it stands?
Well, my understanding is time has healed some of the wounds, but this was a relationship that was cracked, literally the foundation was cracked 1 week into Luka's career. There was a disastrous team meeting in a hotel ballroom in Toronto. They'd blown a 26-point lead the night before in Atlanta. Trae Young versus Luka. Mavs blow it. And Carlisle flipped out. He accuses Dennis Smith Jr. of being jealous of Luka. They were buddies. They were friends. He goes off on the whole team to the point where DeAndre Jordan, the guy who left the Mavs at the free agency All-Star a few years ago, was also a week into his Dallas stint, stands up, Coach, you can't talk just like that.
Whoa.
That relationship was cracked from that point. It was strained throughout. Now, having said all that, Luka did benefit playing for Rick Carlisle, one of the most brilliant offensive minds in particular, certainly in the league now, and I would argue in NBA history. And Rick recognized the talent and didn't only give him the keys and give him the ball, but built an offense around him and allowed this guy's ascent to superstardom.
If he's still the coach, is Luka still in Dallas?
We can go down that rabbit hole. I actually think there's a really good chance because Nico Harrison, the guy who got rid of Luka, was hired to work specifically with Jason Kidd. If there's not Kidd coaching, I'm not sure they bring in Nico. Speculative,
Sliding
but
doors.
interesting.
Speaking of rabbit holes, there are a lot of rabbit holes to go down in your new book, which is out again this week, The Wonder Boy. Check it out. All right, the other team in LA, also on an Eastern road trip, Clippers in Madison Square Garden facing the Knicks and Karl Anthony Towns. Coming off a big performance, under 5 minutes left in the third quarter. Towns, take a look at this move. Spin, lost to Nicholas Batum, and throws it down.